Welcome, Olivia, to the show. I've really been looking forward to having this chat with you and you being able to teach my audience all the work that you do around eating behavior and body image. So, welcome.
Thanks, Carmel. This is so cool. And your room's so cute as well.
Oh,
Look at this
thank you.
little room Carmel has. So cute. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Well, let's just get straight into it because I know that this is a topic that you're super passionate about and something that like a journey that you've been on yourself as well.
Mhm.
So I'd love to talk about like we're going to start off by talking about like what is body image anxiety and like we were talking about just before we started recording, do you say body image anxiety or do you say body anxiety? Like what is it?
Mm. So I use the term body image anxiety because essentially body image isn't actually a true reflection of what our body looks like. Body image is just our mental representation of what we think our body looks like, but is usually not very close to what our actual body looks like. So, body image is just that term to kind of represent what we think we look like. But we can have a negative body image or a positive body image or a neutral body image. Body image anxiety is really the byproduct or kind of umbrella term for all of those negative experiences with somebody who is experiencing a negative body image.
Wow. Okay. So then that's something that like when you work with someone, it's just kind of becoming aware of that at the start. Is that how it kind of evolves? Because like I'm sure that I know that I have moments of body image that, I talk not that I talk to myself, but I'm like, oh, I don't like that part of me or I don't like this part of me. But because
Mm.
I have that little bit more of awareness, I kind of pick up
I think
on
it's totally completely natural to have to be just looking at your reflection sometimes and to have moments of like self-observation of your body. It's completely healthy, it's completely normal. I think when body image anxiety really is a preoccupation with like a specific area, or
okay.
becoming quite preoccupied with an area of your body or your weight
Right.
or yeah. So I think there is definitely a spectrum, and like over here you have somebody who's really preoccupied with the way that they're looking constantly, maybe seeking validation or reassurance, or needing to look at themselves in the mirror quite often. And
Mhm.
then on the other end of the spectrum, you will have somebody who is very avoidant, isn't really engaging with their body image much, so they also having a negative body image experience. And then you have this place in the
Ah.
middle where you might just be feeling neutral, or you might sometimes just be concerned about certain areas of your body, but it's not problematic.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even think of that other end of the spectrum that you just said that, people don't look at themselves, they don't acknowledge themselves. Therefore, it is negative because they don't want to go there. Is that what it is?
Yeah, well, like everybody can cope and manage with their negative body image in a different way. So some people are more avoidant. So you might see
Mm.
other people, engaging in things like beauty treatments and wanting to, get the latest enhancements or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But then somebody else who's experiencing the exact same, negative body image will be completely avoidant to wanting to even expose themselves to those things.
Oh, wow. See, I'd never thought of it like that. Wow, that's so interesting. I know that I'm going to learn so much from this
It really
episode.
gets like, I think that's something about body image, is that every single human being experiences body image. It's
Yep.
part of being human, but our interpretation, our representation of that is so individualistic, and it's really hard to marginalize body image because not two people are having the exact same experience. And I think that's why so many people can suffer silently with their
Mhm.
negative body image because they either don't think that they fit anywhere with it, or they don't think it's relevant, or they're not sure even where to get help for it because it feels so personal.
Yeah, that's so true because it's not like, when we're scrolling through Instagram or Facebook or looking at other people, it's not like we voice it and say, "Oh, I wish I looked like that person," or "I wish I had those legs." Like, it's
No.
more, yeah, like, I've done
Yeah.
that before where it's
And then you
just,
ruminate on that.
yeah.
And that then affects your body image perception,
Mhm.
without you even knowing, just subconsciously.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So interesting. So, I know we've spoken quite a bit of body image, what it is, and like the spectrum, but what does body image anxiety feel like and how does it look to others?
So I think for, like, again, everybody feels it in a different way.
Mhm.
But typically, somebody who's having a negative body image experience might be on a consistent kind of narrow pathway towards wanting to lose weight all the time, or becoming quite weight obsessed, often feeling fat or letting food intrude with their body image. That's one quite common characteristic. Another one is being very obsessive or specific about aging and your
Mm.
appearance through aging. Another one could be somebody just becoming quite obsessive about a certain area of their body and just preoccupied with that one area. Maybe it's their arms or their belly or their thighs. Again, there is a certain level of normal and natural observation about those areas of your body, but it really depends whether you let those thoughts be fleeting and they kind of come and go, or
Yep.
they sit with you and they can change how you feel. And that's where the anxiety part comes in.
Right. And it essentially runs your day. Is that what you're kind of saying? Like that
Absolutely. And
anxiety.
how it looks like to others would be, you know, somebody asking you and your family for constant validation. Do I look skinny today? Do I look
Um,
pretty? Is this outfit flattering? That's quite common. Sometimes as well, like, you just won't notice that somebody is silently suffering with their body image. So yeah, there's definitely all different types of characteristics, but typically somebody will need validation and approval for the way that they're looking.
Wow. I know I've definitely had those moments in my life. I think especially after I had the boys. You have the mum tum and I'd always say to Andrew, "How does my tummy look? It looks fat. It looks like this," because that was my perception
Mhm.
essentially. And then once I what's the word? Once I felt comfortable in my skin and, acknowledged that yeah, I did have two boys and this is the body that I have now, I don't look at that part of my body anymore and scrutinize it, if that makes sense. Um,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
there's not, like, obviously, like, we just live in this social media society that
yeah,
makes everything so much more difficult, in terms of body image, because not only do this generation have to deal with their body image in the moment, but they're also constantly being reminded of other people's body image or other
yeah,
people's representations of their body image constantly. And I think, especially for new mums, like, it's so difficult because we just have these reflections of other people's experiences all around us, and the comparisons do come in. Um, but I think, like, it's so great that you're just, like, aware of that, because it shows that it's been something that you're able to reflect on and not neglecting and looking at, in terms of,
yeah,
like, yeah, okay, I want to
100.
understand this more. And that's really the basis of, you know, negative body image. Although it feels like a negative experience,
Mm,
if you
yeah,
can be an observer, you learn so much from it, and you take away so much from it, and you grow and evolve and change.
yeah, 100%. Because it got to the point where, so my belly gap after I had Oliver, it after my second, it increased to 4 centimeters, my abs.
Mm.
And then a year later, it opened back up. And I'm like, oh, what's going on here? And I just thought that I was just getting fat. Right. But instead of thinking about oh, I'm just getting fat. I actually got to the root cause and I'm like, okay, what's actually going on here? Like, why did my tummy open up? Why am I feeling like this? And then I found out that it opened up again 4 centimeters after it had closed. So if I feel like if I didn't uh, investigate what was going on and just wallowed in the, oh, I'm fat, or I'm this, or I'm that, then nothing would have changed. I don't know. What do you think
And
about
it's
that?
so funny because, well, actually, our brains automatically default to being critical of
Mm,
ourselves. So it's much easier for your brain to go, oh, Carmel, like you're getting fat. Instead of actually using it takes more energy, more time, more effort for our brains to use that little bit more kind of logic and realization and think, well, no, I've actually had a baby. Maybe something else is going on. I should look deeper. It's a
yeah.
lot easier for the brain to default to those critical thoughts that we do a lot of the
Wow.
time.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's so interesting. I think, yeah. So, how does that go with people that do want to lose weight and have that negative body image? Like, does that anxiety come up when, so they want to lose the weight, but their
Hmm.
brain just defaults like, ugh, too hard, not going to do it.
Hmm.
I'm just going to kind of just be comfortable.
Mm.
Is that a form of anxiety too, if that makes sense?
I think that's a coping mechanism. Like it's definitely a protection. A lot of the time, if somebody is struggling with weight loss and you've consistently been trying to lose weight
Mhm.
for a long period of time, the root cause of the issue generally isn't the weight that needs to be lost because that person's probably tried to stick to diets, they've tried methods. It's usually then a root cause of not feeling valuable enough in your body,
Mhm.
not feeling worthy enough, not actually thinking that besides this physical body that our spirit lives in, you not having a strong, robust self perception of who you are as a human being. Or there's other things ingrained in that, like trauma, you know, bullying when you were younger, feeling uncomfortable in your body from a very young age, having preoccupation with your body, having, issues with eating from a young age due to social anxiety, due to feeling anxious, due to other things that have happened in your life. So yeah, my view on that would be that somebody who has struggled with weight loss and wants to lose weight but just says this is all getting too hard, I definitely believe that person that it feels too hard for them
Yeah.
because of all of these other things that they probably haven't been able to, kind of heal from or understand yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's, yeah, so interesting. But I one thing that we did speak about before we had our podcast chat was we were talking about how we don't necessarily heal these thoughts that we have about our body
Mhm.
image. Instead, we kind of learn to grow through them and bring this awareness and just allow our perception to change. So, I would love to know, oh, I'd love for you to share, what can people do to learn more about their body image and how they can start moving through these thoughts daily if it is like about weight loss or a specific area in their body? What could
Mm.
they do?
Well, I think like what you're saying is like how we have these negative thoughts come up and like we consciously know like, oh, I don't want to have those thoughts. I don't want to think that that I don't like my body. I don't want to, it almost feels shameful to say those things, but we don't give them any space to be. So we have to allow them to just be without judgment. So if you were trying to understand your own body image or how you're feeling about it, I think the first thing you would need to do would be just show non-judgmental awareness. So just show like as much loving awareness as you can towards having these thoughts that are coming in, but not being reactive. So like if you were just looking at a friend and how you would you speak to a friend, how would you think of a friend, that's really where you need to start with yourself. and just giving as much compassion as you can to those thoughts without overanalyzing them or making them feel like they don't fit in or they don't belong.
Yeah. So yeah, essentially, how would you talk to your friend? When
Exactly.
they're, yeah, because
Or even a child, like
yeah,
if a child says like, oh, I don't like my arms, or I don't feel pretty, like you would say, "Hey, like you're so beautiful. Like, don't worry. You've got so much beautiful personality. That's what makes you beautiful." Like these are the things. These are the messages that we're ingraining into younger children and our friends. But
100%.
yet, when that ego and that inner voice comes up for us and
Yeah.
says the same things to us, we find it so difficult to also reiterate that same message.
Yeah, I think working with that whole awareness and the ego and all that stuff, that's a journey in itself, I feel like. Um,
Absolutely.
and once you kind of, not that you master it, like I know my ego mind still gets me sometimes. But
But it's
just
always there. It's like a part of us.
yeah,
Like it's not
it's a
it's not something that we have to like it's not who you are. It's like not truthful. And I think that's the thing about body image anxiety is like it's not truthful.
yeah,
Just the same way as what when we have these passing thoughts
yeah,
of criticism, they're not truthful. But when you start to believe them, I think that's what, elevates the situation. And, you know, if you wanted to understand your body image a little bit more, it's really helpful to just ask yourself, do I believe that thought?
mm,
Like, oh, that's there. Do I believe it or don't I believe it? Why not? Or if I
mm,
do, why do I believe it? And
yeah,
just kind of trying to understand that train of thinking a little bit more. So I think it's really healthy to like sometimes sit down with yourself, grab a journal, and just think, what do I think of my body? Like, what do I value? Do I value myself based on my body, or do I value myself based on who I am and how I treat
yeah,
people? I
100%.
think that's a great, healthy way for us all to kind of understand our own body image.
Yeah, and I think too, like you said, our mind always kind of reverts back to that negative. You know,
Mm.
we never think about, the positives or how fantastic it is that we do have two arms, two legs, that we can move, we can run, we can do exercise. And I feel like that's been the journey for me. Whereas at the start, it was all about weight loss and I need abs. Well, this is before I had kids. I need abs. I need to look this certain way. I didn't eat, like literally starving myself. Whereas now my focus is how can I be strong? How can I call it biohack my health. Like
Mm.
how can I just be the strongest and the fittest that I can possibly be and not worrying about how my legs look or how my arms look or how my tummy looks. It's just all about performance, if that
Mm.
makes sense. Because
Oh,
I want to
absolutely.
perform,
Yeah.
because I want to perform and I want to be there and be that example to my kids.
Yeah.
Um, but
But you've kind of gotten there on your journey on through this kind of healing process where
yeah,
now you're able to see, exercise as a loving thing to do with your body. And I think
yes,
that's one of the
yeah,
things that like I was so adamant about when I was creating my program, Grow What You Sow. I really wanted people to experience what it means to enjoy movement without it being a pressure to lose weight or a
mm,
pressure to change your body image. And I think that's something that we don't often have access to because when we think to ourselves, I'm going to exercise today, it's generally always that critical thought because we're on our own that kind of drives us to wanting to burn calories or
mm,
even going to trainers and these kind of things for specific reasons rather than finding that enjoyment with movement that just comes from a place of I'm a human, I need to move my body because this is just what we do, and
yeah.
taking it right back down to those basics.
100%, because you're also a PT, and
Yeah, I
so
started
just
out as a PT.
yeah, so having that, like even that mindset, like I know it was really tough for me to, because I'm a very high impact kind of girl. Like
Mm.
I would just every day do a hit workout, and one day my coach said to me, "Well, why don't you just do a slow flow, or why don't you just like do a Pilates session?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, how could I do that?" So how did you kind of transition to, that whole PT mindset of working
Mhm.
out to burn calories and to, yeah, move your body to moving your body in a way that kind of feels good in that moment.
My gosh, it's such a huge journey that you go on in that aspect because, I wish I could just say it was just like, oh yeah, it was easy. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
like then it was just I didn't have any hiccups in between. Um, the thing about these journeys is they just go up and down all the
Yeah.
time. And I think that it was literally my journey to get to this point was I was just constantly going up and down. And I started out as a PT because I had initially lost a lot of weight and I thought, wow, like I want to be able to teach this formula to other
Mm,
people because at that time I thought when I became a personal trainer, I thought weight loss and loving your body through weight loss was the key.
mm.
And so I really developed my business on that basis. I used to use phrases like fat loss, body mass index, these kind of things, calories, reducing calories. But I always felt it was for the greater good of improving somebody's body image perception. Then, when I realized that, I had a huge client base of women, I was really starting to understand what women needed deeply. I realized I was spending an hour with them after sessions talking to them about their body image. So I
Yeah.
realized that just the exercise wasn't enough. There was so much more that they needed. They needed community. They needed to speak to other people experiencing those things. They needed positive reinforcement. They needed this kind of certain cognitive behavioral therapy that was changing their own perception aside from just exercise. And as I was learning all of these things, I was also learning them about myself. And naturally, I started to change the way I experienced exercise as well. Because I was experiencing comfort eating and emotional eating. I developed an eating disorder you know, through that kind of gym, toxic diet culture, weight loss centric, focused attitude. Which so many people experience. So it was just a natural integration to go, this isn't working for me. This is also not working for my clients. There's something else that's missing here. So I went on a journey of just 6 months, just only practicing yoga. I didn't go to the
Wow.
gym at all. I just spent
That
so
would have
much
been so
time.
hard.
It was hard, but then I was also at a point like I just was at that breaking point, and you
Yeah.
get to that breaking point, you get to burn out, you've got no energy left, you're
Yeah.
depressed, you're anxious, you don't want to socialize. And so yoga was the only practice that made me feel safe in my body, but it was also reconnecting me back to myself. And it's all been in alignment to the program that I get to offer now, which also has yoga in it, also has exercise, has all of those holistic practices that were so essential for myself to be able to transition from that weight focused attitude to actually I really love who I am and I have a really strong resilient perception of my body image.
Yeah. And something that just came to mind that I would love to ask you is body image. Like I know a lot of it's more aware that it's something that women struggle with. But what about men?
Yeah, I think this, over the past 5 years, I was always directing my content just to women
Yeah.
because I felt like it was a women's focus issue. And I felt like men were a part of the problem for women because I had
Ah,
experienced bullying from men. I had experienced, emotional abuse from men. I had experienced them making me feel less than. But what I also began to learn was that men also don't feel comfortable enough talking about their own body image issues. They don't have that um, safe kind of grounds to be able to speak about their emotions. And so it's not just a women versus men issue. Men and women need to be helping each other to become more comfortable talking about these things, because they definitely experience their own versions of bullying, put downs, toxic, um, male energy in the gym because of the fact that they feel like they need to compete. They feel like they need to look a certain way. They feel like women will only want them if they look a certain way. So I think it's definitely, it's gender neutral body image, 100%. I think that women are more able to talk about these issues because naturally we are a bit more perceptive, we're a bit more intuitive, we're more connected to earth and nature, and we're connected to our menstrual cycles, and this
Yeah.
helps us to be able to express our feelings freely and openly. And I think that, yeah, we can both help each other on the journey.
Wow. Oh, this conversation has been amazing. I've really enjoyed it. I've learnt so much. I love listening to you speak about this
Oh,
100%.
thanks, Carmel. Thanks for having me. This is awesome. Congratulations on your podcast. Like, it's
Thank
really
you.
cool. It's just like super, like, I just think it's a really bold, confident thing to do when you decide to, raise your voice and use your voice to help people in the wellness space. So
100%.
thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. So, is there anything else that you would love to add or share? Because I'm definitely going to have you back on, because I know you,
Yay!
I
I'm
know
gonna
you have
come back
so much to share.
again.
Do you have anything else that you've missed out on that you would love to add or share or?
I think if anybody's watching this and they've resonated with anything that we've been talking about, I would love for that person to just start wherever they're at with just bringing more neutrality towards their thoughts, giving as much compassion and empathy. If you've been sitting at home and, COVID has shown to increase binge eating, emotional eating, and there's a huge pandemic going on right now, which is body image anxiety that's coming off the back end of COVID-19 from people staying in their homes,
Yeah.
not being social, hiding away. And if you're experiencing that, I just really would love to see you show up every day and just be as compassionate as you can towards those thoughts that are coming up. Try not to be reactive. Try not to start any fad diets. Try not to instantly try and lose weight or
Yeah.
feel like you need to be reactive to those thoughts. And just try and give as much compassion and empathy to yourself, which just means being neutral, seeing yourself from that third eye perspective, and just practicing non judgmental awareness and giving space to everything that you're going through.
Oh, that's just fantastic advice. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks,
I
Carmel.
I just wanted to acknowledge you too for the work that you do and the value that you share with your community and now with mine. I know that you've been on your own healing journey, and without going through what you did, healing your body image and all that stuff, you wouldn't be here today sharing this information with us and helping so many women with your program. So thank you for
Thank you
all of
so
it.
much.
So please share with everyone where they can find you.
So you can find my educational page at Glow Wild and Well.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well, I'll
thank
have all of that
you.
in the show notes and in the cheat sheet and all of that stuff. So thank you so much again for being here. And I'm definitely going to have you back on
Can't
and
wait
we'll
to come
chat. And
back.
yeah, we'll chat about another
Thank
awesome
you.
topic.